welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, rolling blackouts are negatively impacting mobile network operators. Customers have been voicing their frustrations over poor network signals during high stages of power cuts especially. To find out how the telecommunications industry is dealing with sustained blackouts, let's bring in the chairperson of the Association of Communications and Technology, Shameel Joosub. Thank you very much, Mr. Joosub, for your time here on ENCA. Just firstly, at some point not so long ago, we were on stage 6 load shedding. That means 10 hours of no power a day. How did that affect you? I assume that, the batteries that you have to buy to keep charged couldn't really charge during this time.
So, Sarah, it's been an absolute disaster, to be honest, in a number of ways, because, when you start to get, and remember the peak, we were at 12.5 hours of load shedding. So, it became a big issue for us, and effectively we had to, roll out a lot more batteries and a lot more sites as an industry. It's usually disruptive because the batteries don't necessarily have a chance to recharge. And then that creates network outages, and, customers don't always appreciate that networks actually run on power.
And you mentioned something about having to buy more batteries. You're an industry that has been, told by many South Africans to make data cheaper. You're an industry that has also been asked by many South Africans to make sure that there's access to data for people living in your rural areas, for instance, because access to data in these days means access to information. Wouldn't this money have been far better to reach this type of ask instead of being used to recharge batteries and find more batteries to be able to recharge your equipment?
100%, and that's a huge issue for us because this is an unanticipated cost, or rather, it's a cost that we've been incurring over the last couple of years as load shedding has increased. But of course, this last year it's gotten significantly worse, and of course, the December period, as you know, was a complete disaster. So, it's you have to then divert money into it, which means that you can't roll out 5G, as an example, as aggressively as you want. So that's the first part. But secondly, it is, of course, increasing the cost to communicate, or rather our cost, and which then puts us under pressure. We're not increasing the pricing, but it is putting an immense amount of pressure on the industry. And what we then, as an industry, got to do is you're incurring costs in putting out batteries, which essentially is like an inverter on the site. We're also looking at new solutions like solar and wind and so on, but it's frightfully expensive. At the site-by-site level. And you think about the problem 20,000 times over, it becomes a huge issue. Then, in addition to that, we've got the issue that the batteries get stolen at the sites. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had one security personnel being shot at the site and being killed. So, 2 people were killed at the site. So it's become, and because you have basically so much more batteries that you have to put out there, then you need, if there's frequent load shedding, you need generators. So we have thousands of generators going around the country, but you can't have generators for every site. So, or you can, but it will be hugely expensive to be able to do.
Yeah, with
and then
diesel
your fuel
prices as well.
So it's causing mayhem. And look, as an industry, we're trying to do as much as we can. We are having to sacrifice, new technologies or new investments to be able to make sure. But we have to keep our customers talking and surfing. But I think also just to appeal to the public to be patient, because people get very. Yesterday I had a customer having a full go, and rightfully so, about not being able to connect because of the load shedding. So people work from home, they surf, they watch TV through through the data networks and so on. So it is causing havoc, but we're also trying to work together as an industry to try and solve it, because the solutions from Eskom are not coming quick enough.
Exactly. I want to admit, Mr. Joosub, I'm one of those customers. I'm a customer of yours. I have Vodacom Wi-Fi at home, and I'm very frustrated because I haven't had network since Monday. I'm hoping that it will be sorted out soon. But how are you going to balance this? I mean, you're saying that you're not increasing the prices, which we will all appreciate as customers because everything is so expensive. But you're having to increase security, increase battery, increase storage, get more generators, and possibly, I was told, for instance, by one of the people at your call center that I can also send an email and apply for my next invoice to have downtime. I think that's what she called it, a number of days of downtime for Vodacom to work out how many days I didn't have data and work out a newer invoice to what I usually pay, and it could be cheaper for that particular month. So how are you going to balance this out if you're not going to increase prices? Is that not inevitable?
Look, I think, of course, we'll try and fend it off, but I guess inevitably you will find it coming through in some form of price increases. But we're trying to, try and keep the prices down, and of course, trying to make sure that, the most vulnerable customers, don't have to pay more. So it's a tough balancing act, to be honest with you. That we not just as Vodacom, but as the industry are trying to balance, and I think that's definitely there. Of course, we're trying to resolve and create the resiliency that we can on the sites. So generally, you would have battery backup on all the sites.
Yeah.
But what's happened is you're going from 4 hours, which was the original plan, and that was enough. Then you had to go to 6. Now you're having to go to 8. Now you're having to go to 12. And that creates their own complexities.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got sites where, the batteries keep getting stolen. So you put new ones in, they steal it. You put new ones in, it gets stolen again. And that's where we need the help of the security cluster as well. And those are the engagements that, as ACT, we're also having, with the different government authorities. But, of course, that's also stressed, right? So, how they're going to help us in 15,000 sites or 20,000 sites is not necessarily, going to be there. So we have, armed response at the sites, having to do various different things to basically try and protect the batteries.
Any risk at all, Mr. Joosub, of the industry having to cut jobs because of load shedding and Eskom not finding Eskom and government, by the way, not finding solutions to this problem? And would you support those organizations who want to take Eskom and government to court?
Well, I think, look, let me start off with taking government and Eskom to court. It's not going to solve anything. We still need, I'm more in the space that we need to find solutions. For me, government needs to license the IPPs a lot quicker. We have a solution that we've been working on with Eskom, which is replicable across industries, where as corporates, as the industry, we can sign up, the IPPs, sign them up into 10, 15-year deals, contribute the power to Eskom, and then Eskom will pass us credits on the end. It doesn't solve our load shedding issue, but it will contribute more power to the grid. And if other corporates can do the same, that will do it. Now, the reason we need to do that, to be blunt, is because the government procurement processes are not good enough. They take too long. If they were fully empowered, then they could sign on the IPPs a lot quicker, and the IPPs could contribute the power to Eskom. And I think for me, that's probably the only solution right now, is we need to get more IPPs, more alternative sources of power contributed to the grid.
Yeah.
Almost take the pressure off that gives Eskom a chance to fix itself. That is the more critical part that's needed at this stage.
All right, Mr. Joosub, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully this doesn't lead to the industry having to be forced to let go of people, because it's already tough in South Africa. Shameel Joosub, he's the chairperson of the Association of Communications and Technology. Thank you for your time.